word to your mother. It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just some high-flying, ran fast vertical stems of professors from Penn watching eagles eat and pray like Pazookies on birthdays. It's Philadelphia. Marissa, Bo, and Zach kicking it. Cooler than 3 penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some
Birds with Friends.
The early bird gets the worm but prefers getting turned like a turn on some
Birds with Friends.
Marissa, Bo, and Zach are here to squawk. Don't miss the mistress talk on some
Zach, for the 4th time in franchise history, the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl.
Eagles Chiefs are ripe with storylines. 2 best teams in the
Prince
NFL.
Tega
playing.
Winogo revenge game.
There's so many factors in place for Bo to make the media enemy. Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Birds with Friends on a Wednesday morning. Bo Wolf, Zach Berman, and Sheil Kapadia. We got an old school Birds with Friends going on here. Sheil, how are you?
Well, listen, anytime I can come on my favorite Denver Broncos podcast, I'm not giving that up. I don't care how much work I have to do, what the kids are doing, what's going on. I'm here to talk Sean Payton, Russell Wilson, Randy Gregory. Hopefully, I normally complain about the length of the shows, but Broncos I can do 2 hours on.
Beautiful. Zach, what's going on in your neck of the woods? How's
Doing
that
well,
Denver
excited for I'm doing well, excited for this podcast. Always like seeing Sheil, whether it's on the screen or in person. This is a fun episode. This is a good way to kind of scratch the gambling itch, if you will, and also
you as a
preview
company man are not
the
allowed
NFL.
to gamble, just like Isaiah Rodgers.
Yes, on the NFL, not allowed to gamble on just like Isaiah Rodgers. Now, Isaiah Rodgers has more vested interest in it, but correct. No, look forward to this pod.
The annual Spread Your Wins and Fly draft, in which we will draft all 31 other teams. Well, we'll draft 30 of them, and then Marissa, in absentia, will be left with number 31. We've got all the over-unders. But before we get into it, I don't know. What's going on in your life?
I got a
How you
couple
doing?
things. Yeah, I got a couple things to get off my
chest.
One, the commenters are requesting it right off the bat. Zach, checking Twitter at a red light? What's the matter with you? I thought I taught you better. I know I got through to Bo. I don't know if he's perfect because I don't have a camera in his car. You can't be texting and driving. Don't look at the phone goes away. You plug in the Apple CarPlay. If somebody calls you with an emergency, you pick it up through that. Otherwise, you don't need it. You don't need to be checking X while you're at a red light.
Guy's popping Molly while he's.
I mean, if I'm behind you and you're not moving, the light turns green and you're not moving, and I find out it's good. What was the even tweet you were looking at? I mean, who cares? You can go a half an hour without checking. Your life will be okay. Phone stays away.
Not when I drive. I was at a red light. It's a heavy news day. I agree. I picked up my phone. I checked.
It's got to see who gets waved.
I won't do it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's all I need to hear.
But no,
Moment of
guilty as
weakness.
charged there.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, guilty as charged there. I will be better.
All right. The other thing I need to ask about, I mean, you guys just brushed. Now, I haven't listened to all of yesterday's episode, but I listened to the first part, and you guys brushed past what I thought needed to be. Now, maybe you got back to it later, 40-minute conversation or so with Zach having the repeat question at the presser, which I heard, listen, you're allowed like one. But
no, that's wrong.
Listen. Well, yeah, no, I agree. I've never done that, but that's okay. Listen, everybody makes mistakes, but I want to know Bo's role in this, because that to me was the untold story. So to take people inside, what happens is sometimes you show up late to a presser. Sometimes, someone texts you, whatever, and you miss a little bit. And what you will generally do is you whisper to the person, hey, has anybody asked about yada, yada, yada? And that person, you're trusting them to give you good information. Now, people have asked me before, and I'll say, I don't know. Like sometimes I'm not listening to the presser, or say, you got to be honest there. So what was the interaction there? How much is Bo responsible for what you?
It doesn't matter.
I am responsible.
I disagree.
No, stop.
It does matter. 100% matters.
I'm responsible. Here's what happened. It was the exact same thing as Zach. The question was asked as the roster was sent to us. As we explained, the roster had not been sent to us. The moves had not been sent to us.
That was weird. What was up with
until
that?
5 minutes into the press conference? It was bizarre. And so in that moment, when I'm reading to see who was waived, who makes the team, that apparently is when the Albert O question was asked. I had heard in the very beginning someone ask about the newcomers and Isaiah Rodgers, and I wasn't 100% sure if that had been an Albert question. And so Zach pointed to Albert on his phone and said, "Has this been asked?" I said, "I don't think so."
Stop.
But
It doesn't matter.
it's my fault.
What was
We're a team.
what was
I gotta
on
have your
Harry
back.
Truman's desk? What was on Harry Truman's desk?
No idea.
I don't know. Weed.
A day of infamy.
The buck stops here. Okay.
Mm.
That was no. Look, ask not for a lighter burden, ask for broader shoulders. I am responsible for what I ask. It is nobody else's fault. I would never blame somebody else for a question I asked.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
I am responsible. So that is on me. I will take the L.
Now, there were a couple of those yesterday, correct?
There were. Yeah.
Yeah.
It tells you exactly how. Like it tells you about what was going on in the press conference.
Okay. No.
So this has happened once before during my 12 years on the beat, and that was 2015. There was, Chip Kelly called the press conference very quickly. I think he wanted to get to the Temple Penn State game, and he got out there, and we hadn't received the new roster yet. So you're asking questions about what's happened, about the cuts, who stayed,
Right.
who's gone, and you get there and you're like, who's on the team,
Yeah, that's
And-
weird. I've never
Yeah.
been a part of that before. We go to the press conference that's about the roster, and they haven't announced the roster moves.
So the
Bizarre.
roster came.
I'm
So
just saying, yeah.
we got a message during the press conference, and that was when Dave Zangaro asked the Alberto question. So I should have been more attentive. I am responsible. That one is on me.
Okay. And Bo, how are you doing? I mean, 7-way tie, and you couldn't even make a 7-way tie. I mean, that's gotta hurt.
As I said,
quite a
I'm doing
bit.
fine.
for
I had the
someone.
right roster. It's the Eagles who
After
were wrong.
Zach's gassing you up all summer. This guy watches practice. This guy knows everything about this. And then 7 people? I mean, a lot of NFL beats, they don't even have 7 people. And you had a 7-person tie ahead of you. That's got to hurt.
It doesn't
No?
hurt at all.
And that's on
it's
the
not my fault. The
heels
Eagles
of-
made the wrong decision on Patrick
That's on
Johnson
the
and Mario
heels
Goodrich.
of not sticking to your guns about Tanner McKee for the camp. I mean,
What do you mean
I've
not
enjoyed the
sticking to my guns?
coverage.
That's
Listen,
my
your
guy. He's one of the core
observations have
four.
been great. I've enjoyed the observations, but yeah, that's got to hurt. Hopefully you're doing okay.
I'm doing great. I wouldn't. I'm on a 7-way tie is like it's not even. It's barely a. It's not even interesting. You didn't
I
even
would
accomplish
agree.
anything.
People involved in the 7-way tie, but then when you're not even involved in it, like that hurts.
I'd rather not be. I'd rather stand atop the mountain as the clear champion.
Okay. Last thing. I disagree with the take that, you were getting on Zach. Like Zach keeps talking about how he's met Derek Barnett's mom, so he could not possibly dislike him. And then you were coming in saying, if you meet someone's mom, that doesn't mean you can't dislike them. But then I start going through my head. Every person who I've actually met their mom, I don't think I've disliked any of those people. So I think it might be a rule that if you meet someone's mom, that you don't dislike them.
Let me ask you
wait.
this, Sheil.
Yeah.
You don't have to name names here,
Okay.
but presumably there must be some child in one of your children's classes who you dislike, who might be a bit of a bully, and you've probably met their parents along the way. You've probably met some parents you dislike along the way.
No, well, I mean, like, I'm not going to be like best friends with every parent in, school. I don't think anybody would do that. But no, I haven't run into that specific situation yet. But hey, new school year starts next week. Maybe this will be my year.
Let me clarify the
All right.
Derek Barnett. I've met his mom. My point is that you separate when you're doing this job. I think if you do it effectively, you separate the play from the player. Okay, you separate the art from the artist. However you want to frame it.
Do you believe in that? I have a tougher time doing the whole art from the
Very
art thing. I
yeah,
feel.
very much so.
Okay,
Very
all right.
much so. So Derek Barnett can do something in a game that I find egregious. That doesn't make Derek Barnett a bad person. That doesn't mean I dislike Derek Barnett. It simply means that when you move the chains because you have a personal
Nice
foul,
shout out.
that is a bad move. You don't want that. That doesn't mean shun him. It just means you need to be smarter on the field than that.
Okay.
But if it's
All right.
offsetting, it's okay, right?
If it's offsetting, it's okay. Not necessarily. No, I did not. I was giving the offense example that it didn't move the chains. It was a little different, but
Another
it's
shout
still
out.
a
I
bad
love
penalty.
it.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
and now it's probably time to talk, birds 24/7.
Nice job.
There we go. Okay. We've got the spread your wins and fly draft. Remember the rules here. We've got 10 picks each, but you also get your 2 challenge flags in which you get to oppose a pick made by another person. Let's say Zach drafts, the Chiefs over, which he loves to do, and you want to do the Chiefs under. You can throw that flag.
That hits like every year, right, Zach?
It does. It's every single year.
It's crazy.
As the defending champion, it's my choice where I would like to pick. I will take the number 2 pick. And Sheil, as our guest, you get to decide whether you'd like to pick first or third. Snake draft, obviously.
Oh, it's snake? Oh, well, I'll go first. What the heck?
You will go first. All right, we will go Sheil, then me, and Zach, and back around. Sheil, your top offense and top defense takes are published. So if Zach wanted to do a little oppo digging, he could have done that. But we'll see. We'll see how much that plays into things.
I'm going off the spreadsheet you sent me with the.
Yes, you know what's interesting? It as I was looking around, it seems like the books are not doing like even win totals anymore. They're just sticking on halves.
I'm looking at it now.
They've got all halves.
It does look. Is that right?
As they should. As they should. Who likes a push?
Yeah,
Right?
but I don't
Likes
remember
the
it
push,
always
but I
being
don't-
like that.
Yeah, it has not been like that in years past. Feels like it's like the disappearance of limousines. It's a sea change.
By the way, I've received a few messages today about a New York Times article recently about the demise of limousines. So being a company man, I should have I should have read that article, but I did read it. It was very well done. Good history on limousines. So check that out on nytimes.com.
There you go. All right, go ahead, Sheil.
All right. Well, I'm trying to be consistent here, and so when I gave out, my favorite over/under win totals, I haven't changed off like my top 3. So those are the top 3 on my board. So I don't know if you guys listen to Extra Point Taken on the Ringer NFL feed, but you would know where I'm going with this. And the first one is going to be your boy Johnny Gans, Cardinals 4.5. You say, Sheil, that's a sucker bet. 4.5. Come on, it's the lowest one in the league. I have the Cardinals as my 32nd ranked offense and my 32nd ranked defense. And I don't think they're going to be well coached. And I think they're not going to be motivated to win games because they're in the Caleb Williams, Drake May sweepstakes. I think this is probably as close to a tank job as we've seen in recent years when you just look at what kind of product a team is putting out there to start the season. So I mean, for the Cardinals to win 5 games, to me, I know it's the NFL and teams get lucky, and maybe Kyler comes back. I mean, if Kyler comes back midseason, this could look bad. But again, I don't think they're going to be motivated for that. And so maybe they luck into 2, maybe they luck into 3, maybe they even luck into 4. You still win this bet. I cannot see them winning 5 games this season. So I've got under 4.5 for the Cardinals.
I think it's a good pick. It like the signal here was so obvious, even just from the offseason when there were so many veteran backup quarterbacks available and they didn't sign any of them, even though they just had Colt McCoy. Like, I think we know where this is going. Pew, pew, pew.
So you guys are not Clayton Tune guys, I take it.
Josh Dobbs, I think he's going to start. They just added him.
Well,
I thought he would have been a nice backup for the Eagles. I don't know what he got paid. Yeah, he was my choice for backup for Jalen Hurts.
Couldn't beat out Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Who's to say he would have beat out Tanner McKee?
When people say it doesn't take a rocket scientist to play football, then you look at Josh Dobbs and you say, I don't know. Sometimes it helps to be a rocket scientist.
You love
You've
that.
definitely used that before. 100%. Multiple times.
Yeah. All right. This is one where you got to play the man, not play the board. I'm going to go to what's number 2 on my big board, not number 1, just because I know what's this way. I'm hoping I can get both of them because I know that Zach's got the turn here. I already talked about it. You know that I'm a hater, so there are more unders that are popping to me. So when there's an over that looks good, I got to take it. They've got a tough schedule, but if Patrick Mahomes is healthy, I find it very hard pressed to believe that they're not going to win more than 11 and a half games. 12 and 5, 13 and 4 feels like I will take that until they tell me not to.
12 or 14 every season with Mahomes as the starter. Yeah, you almost feel it's almost one of those where you look at it and go, what am I missing here? How are they going to get me? So 11.5. Oh yeah, I think that's a good one.
You give me crap for going with that every year. I
Well, I
thought you were
took it
going
last
to
year
let that
too,
slide
to be honest.
I
Yeah.
thought you were going to let that slide. Yeah, of course. Best team in football.
Yeah, I
Best
mean,
team
what
in
do you
football. Best coach in football. Best quarterback in football. Absolutely.
mean? All right, you've got 2, Zach.
Okay, so I candidly thought that one was going to slip to me, and so I did not have that set to go.
Hold
in
on,
my
I just
holster.
thought of something. When did we
Yes.
do that NFC East draft? Last spring?
Which draft
spring,
was
yep.
that?
Go look at the results there and look at where I got Andrew Thomas in that draft, and listen to Bo's commentary when I took Andrew Thomas. Now Brandon Thorne's got him as a top 5 left tackle in the NFL. So I don't think Bo should just get all the credit for offensive line analysis. Zach, I need a little love there.
It's so funny. Oh, I just thought.
By
of
the
something.
way,
how long have you been holding on
Cleveland
to
Browns, go to freaking Helsinki. I mean, are you serious? Good
I
luck.
think we'll get there. We're
Your
gonna get there.
offensive line depth is going to. Okay, sorry. Maybe you already went through it. All right. Anyway.
No, yeah. I mean, you're
Go ahead.
absolutely right.
Okay.
I mean, I think we can all agree. We're all taking the under there, but whenever it gets there.
So I'm gonna play 2 overs here. The first being the Los Angeles Chargers over 9.5. This is a team. This is a team that I think they're a talented team, real tough division. I like Connor Orr's article on the size of their wide receivers last week, how Brandon Staley's inspired by the mid-90s Bowls, where they have Ron Harper and they have Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, and that is, so
it's like right down your alley. I mean, honestly, talk about a story that just is like, he should have just printed it out and driven to your house and sent it to and given it to you before it even published, knowing that you were gonna love it. But sorry.
Yeah, no. But they were just battered by injuries last year, in particular on the offensive line. If they can get healthy this year, I like the talent on that team. I think they made an upgrade at offensive coordinator. Kellen Moore, I thought he did a good job in Dallas. And we'll get to Dallas soon. I don't quite know what they were thinking there with the offensive coordinator change, but I think that's an upgrade, and I think that's a team that it's a big number getting to double-digit wins, but they've been in that ballpark the past 2 years, and I think they're better this year. So that is my first one here. And my next one, I was really struggling with this, but I
the 4th overall pick. You got to have some ones you like by now.
Yeah, I thought I didn't prep for this podcast, but man, number 4, you're already.
Feels like you've been distracted by something.
So I'm going with Cincinnati over 11.5, and that is a huge number.
Sheil Super Bowl
that
pick.
Is a huge.
Hey, come on! I'm trying to tease some content here.
Haven't you already talked about that like several times?
Yeah. So that's a loaded division as well. So wins could be hard to come by, but I think that there are some books that have odds for most wins in the NFL, and Cincinnati could push that. That's a deep team, both sides of the ball. I like the Orlando Brown signing. I'm obviously betting here on ascending quarterbacks. Give me Herbert, give me Burrow. So if I lose these picks, let me lose with quarterbacks that I really like that are getting better every year.
I've got the slight under on both those teams, but I don't feel great about it. The Chargers, I agree with your points about the offense. I think they're going to be good. I don't trust the coaching staff after the way last season ended with Brandon Staley playing his starters in week 18 and Mike Williams getting an injury, and then you blow a 27-0 lead, and now you fire your OC. Oh, no, it wasn't my fault. It was, the OC, the defense has been mediocre. So I could see it. I could definitely see them going over that number because I think the offense is going to be good, but I don't trust them. Bengals is just such a big number. It's like the division's tough. The conference is tough. But yes, I do like that Bengals team quite a bit.
All right. I'm going to go with one that, I like to play to the crowd a little bit. I'm going to go to one that I think is maybe the one that Eagles fans will be hoping is the one that they would pick. And I got to say, I believe Brock Purdy is ready to turn into a pumpkin. I think that That offense, Christian McCaffrey still made of glue. I think it's hard to believe that he's going to play a whole season. That's the case for a lot of guys on that offense. They lost the most handsome coordinator in the NFL, so that defense is ready to take a step back. Give me the under on the San Francisco 49ers at 10.5.
I think I have them 11-6, but I can definitely see your scenario. I could see it going that way. I just think there's a lot of talent still on the team where
no doubt
quarterback is average, but I mean, their quarterback room is Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold. Like, what other team would you pick to win 11 games with that quarterback room?
Right.
Like, so I think that's probably a smart one.
Are you throwing your flag?
No, I'm not throwing my flag. I don't feel strongly about that one. I could easily see them going under. I throw my flag if I vehemently disagree, right? And then I get the thing. Like, I could get the 49ers if I wanted.
Right. It becomes a head-to-head, yes.
And how many flags do we get?
You get 2 each, and 2 people are allowed to throw the flag on the same one if that were to occur.
So I get all my picks in the draft plus the 2 where I throw my flags.
Correct. Everybody gets 12 bets.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
So it's use them or lose them.
Got it. See, now I'm all right. Now I'm reconsidering, but I'm on brand, not knowing the rules of these games. All right. I'm going to go with 2 unders here. Neither one is very exciting. We don't need to spend more than 30 seconds on them. I'm going to go Houston Texans under 6.5.
Like
Indianapolis Colts under 6.5. Texans skill position players stink. Offensive line is now banged up. Rookie quarterback. I think they'll run the ball and play defense. 7 wins though. Is that formula going to get you to 7 wins? I don't think so. I'm curious what you guys think of like we've had a lot of Shane Steichen discussion. I feel like on multiple pods I've had it, and I feel like I think Shane Steichen did a great job with the Eagles, no doubt, great play caller last year. But now I see him transitioning to this head coaching job, and I feel like he's sort of reaching this like status that I don't know he deserves quite yet. I feel like this offensive coordinator position, Zach, as you pointed out a million times, Nick Sirianni, this is still his offense. He's still in the meetings. He's still like setting the framework for everything that goes on. Jeff Stoutland has the run game. You've got the most talented offensive personnel in the NFL. Like, Steichen did a good job, but this is a whole different world going to a Colts offense and a Colts team with a meddling owner, a bad roster, a quarterback who completed 53.8% of his passes last year in college, even though I like his upside and look forward to watching Anthony Richardson. But for that team to get to 7 wins, I just feel like people are putting a little too much into, hey, Steichen's going to figure this out right away with Anthony Richardson. Agree or disagree? Where are you guys on Steichen as a head coach?
I'm with you. I mean, I like Shane Steichen. I think he did a great job. I'm not willing to necessarily just buy on spec that he's like a game day genius without, divorced from Nick Sirianni and the talent on the Eagles offense. I think he'll do a good job with Anthony Richardson. But like you said, I mean, that is an organization that is, looking like one of the more rotten ones in the league at the moment. So I don't know that he has the force of personality or the mental acuity to overtake a wild man like Jim Irsay running things.
I
you must love Richardson, Zach.
I'm intrigued by.
I'm excited to watch it. Yeah,
me too. Yeah, I think it could be really fun.
I don't love that roster. I frankly didn't get much of a look at them when they were in Philly. That practice ended pretty quickly. But even still,
front seven's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they do have some talent there, but yeah. And last year everything went wrong. But I don't trust them enough. And the Jonathan Taylor situation is never good, right? When your best player or one of your best players isn't playing, is unhappy, right? There's just too much there. So I actually had them listed as an under here. I probably should have. I like the Houston under a little bit more, but I probably should
agree with that.
Yeah, I'm with you on Houston.
If I had to pick one, I'd pick Houston.
I couldn't believe how high that Houston line was. 6.5.
7 wins? You don't just like luck into 7 wins.
I mean, I like D'Amico, but
yeah, their defense could be like mediocre, but that usually doesn't get you to 7 wins.
Right. Yeah. All right. I will take.
You can continue. I'm listening. I'll be right back.
Okay. I will take an under here. I will take the under on the team that has, according to projected win totals, the most difficult schedule in the league. They play in a very tough division. They have one quarterback on their roster. I'm taking the under at 7.5 on Bill Belichick, Mac Jones, and the New England Patriots. I don't see what they're going to be doing on offense that's going to move the needle. I like Ramondre Stevenson, but that offensive line is in shambles. They're trading for backups across the league. Front four is really good, but I don't think that's going to make way against a very difficult schedule for them. So I'm taking the under on the Patriots.
I had them under as well. I agree. Not a big Mac Jones guy. Don't like the skill position talent. I think Bill Belichick's. I think the world of Bill Belichick as a head coach, but that's a team that would worry me at that 7.5 number.
I agree. They were on my list, not too far down here. Patriots under 7.5. Now, you guys had a bidet discussion months ago, I believe. And Bo, you said you had used it once in a foreign country, and Zach was appalled by the idea that anyone would use a bidet. Am I characterizing that correctly?
No, the conversation was about sitting down to urinate.
No, we had a bidet.
No, but
we
then
had a separate bidet conversation.
I'm glad I'm listening more than you are, Zach. That actually warms my heart.
I think I want to get in the market for a bidet.
Yeah, I was gonna say this isn't like a lifestyle, the rich and famous type thing anymore. You can spend $100 on Amazon and get a nice bidet. This is a classic. Don't knock.
But you have to get the plumbing going on.
No, it's just a little. It's just a little attachment underneath the seat.
I don't know how to do that. Yeah, this is because people would say my both brother-in-laws, both sides said, listen, you guys should look at. I'm not having an issue. I don't need to get a bidet. And finally, you get one, and you go, all right, I was missing out. This is a better way to live. I'm just telling you. Bo, if you need recommendations, you can tell me after the podcast.
Oh, you've gotten one.
Oh yeah, we got two.
Oh, nice, good for you. Yeah, and
one
better for the
basement,
environment.
One in the master bedroom.
You're saving paper.
Great, really fun. Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Send me along those recs.
if anybody,
it's there for all of Zach's wonderful things. There's a bit of a like retro machismo to him that it's just a little bit. He's
retro machismo because I stand to pee. That is a retro machismo.
Yeah,
that is done.
You're anti-bidet.
Yeah.
Listen, if there is a bidet company listening and you want a little dual sponsorship, Birds with Friends and the Ringers Philly Special, I think we can make that happen. And I'll read the heck out of that ad read. I'll tell you that much. All right.
Okay. ZB, you got two.
Okay. We're thrown off by the bidet discussion.
That was on my list. I had mom thing, disagree, ZB checking X while driving, bidets, Bo blew it on the camp. Now I feel like I've gotten through all of that.
So I'm going under on the Minnesota Vikings at 8.5. And this is one of those kind of regression to the means. They were what last year 13-4, but 11-0 in one score games. They were fortunate in injury luck. I believe they had the fourth fewest games lost in the NFL last season. And I actually like a Kevin O'Connell. And I think
a glass of water.
Kirk Cousins came off. I thought he came off fine in the quarterback documentary, but I also think this is a team with eyes beyond 2023. And frankly speaking, I thought they should have traded for Trey Lance, bring the Minnesota boy home, right? But that said, I'm going under on Minnesota 8.5.
My only hesitation here is it feels like all of that regression is baked into the number. 8.5 is would it be crazy for them to win 9 or 10 games? I don't think that's nuts in a division that could end up being pretty bad. But I think water gun to my toe, I'd probably go under 2.
Yeah, they tempted me a little bit because you look in the NFC for like wild card teams and it's not easy to find them. sort of like, well, they got two good offensive tackles. They have Justin Jefferson. They got Jordan Addison. TJ Hawkinson played well for them last year. Like Cousins isn't going to be a zero. He's going to give you a floor of mediocrity. And then they got Brian
can't be any
Flores.
worse, right? Yeah.
I mean, well, their defensive personnel, they got rid of basically like any good veteran from last year, a mediocre vet. So Flores really has nothing to work with, but we've talked about defensive coordinators. Can you do more with less? If he can, like, it wouldn't shock me if the Vikings won that division, but I think I'm with you, Zach. I have them as an 8-win team, but I was a little tempted by them to go like 9-8 there.
Yeah. I think that's fair. All right.
So no flags here.
No flags.
No flag.
Okay. And then my other one here is I am going Dallas over 9.5.
Good one.
And I'm going Dallas over 9.5 here because I think that's a loaded team. As I said, do not like what they did from a coaching staff perspective this offseason. I think it's a downgrade going from Kellen Moore to Brian Schottenheimer. But I also think that both sides of the ball, they have talent. Bearish on, I don't want to tease, but on the two other teams in the NFC East. And I think they can pull up wins here. So I think Dallas is the Eagles' most legit competition, more so than San Francisco.
In the conference, yeah.
Yeah, in the conference to make it to the Super Bowl.
Aren't you surprised by that number? Like the Cowboys are generally a public team where their number gets juiced a little bit. I think they have the best defense in the NFL. I'm not going to, bet on a Mike McCarthy team to do big things, but 10 wins?
Isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not throwing a flag there. I'm with you.
The only thing that is making me hesitate that the Cowboys should win like 11 games is Mike McCarthy, which is a big thing. But
if I trusted
everything
their
else
coach, I'd be like,
good.
They could get to the Super Bowl. Yeah, I agree.
All right, I will take the one that is number 4 on my board. This is an over at 8.5 on a team that had the best draft class in the NFL last season. It's a bit of a corollary to me taking the under on the San Francisco 49ers. I know Jackson Smith-Njigba is a little bit banged up to start the season, but I like what that brings to the weaponry on offense.
Just a little yesterday.
Okay,
Jackson
there we
Smith,
go.
Yeah.
I like what I see from the Seahawks. I'm surprised this number is so low. You asking me if I think they're going to have a winning season? I think absolutely. So give me the over on the Seahawks. I think they've got a chance to win that division.
I like it. That was one of my top 3 when we did our pod on extra point taken. Yeah, Pete Carroll's had a winning season 10 of 11 years with 3 different quarterbacks, and it's like this year is it's still Geno, so you're not sure how good he's going to be. But they've got talented players on that offense. So I really want to throw a flag here soon. I feel like what happened last year? You got to the end and someone forgot to throw flags. Wasn't there something like this?
No, I think maybe 2 years ago it was like we were so simpatico that we just all of the flags came at the very end because those were the more difficult ones. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe that's what's happening here. All right, I'm up. Snake, Doug P. Come on, 9.5 wins with Trevor Lawrence.
The next 2 on my board, Seahawks and Jags.
I'm taking the over 9.5 for the Jags. I think the Jags are a real sleeper. I think their defense kind of stinks. But I think their offense is going to be really good. Liked how they ended last season. I think Doug P's in a good spot there. I believe in Trevor Lawrence with that supporting cast. So I've got them over 9.5 wins. I think they could win like 11 games this year is what I have for the Jaguars, 11-6.
That was the next one on my board. And I know that Zach will tease me for this. I'm like, you like the guy who was the consensus best player in the world, who was thought to be the best prospect. I think that this could be the year of Trevor Lawrence. I think that like by the end of this year, we could be talking about him in contentions for like the second best quarterback in football.
So let's just review Bo's takes here. Kansas City is a good team, and Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. Okay, this is Mr. Contrarian here is now rolling with Kansas City and Trevor Lawrence. If the inverse happened, if I came here today and I'm like, Trevor Lawrence is the guy who's going to take this big jump, and man, I love that 11.5 Kansas City number. Bo would be like, did you do any work for this? Or are you just saying the most obvious statements? Yeah, I agree. I love that Jacksonville 9.5 number. I think there are questions about that offensive line. That's my one concern there. And I tend to try to look at line play more so than some of the other things. But
Flex.
look, getting Calvin Ridley is an upgrade to their skill position players. I liked what I saw from ETN last year. I think that's a good team.
All right.
And they got a
My-
chance to just rack up wins in that division.
And so for full disclosure, I was going to go them earlier, but I didn't want to be totally on brand and just go all overs with like my first 8 picks. So I snuck that Minnesota under in and kind of regretting it a bit now.
When I did my league, why I was like, I got to get to 16 overs and 16 unders. You know, make sure it's
Okay. Yeah,
it doesn't have to be exactly, but sort of even so that you feel like you're not getting stuck there. All right, I'm debating
real quick though. I'm just going to throw this in. One of the problems I had when I did this exercise is there are some divisions where I have everyone going under,
right?
Some divisions where I have everyone going over,
and
and I'm like, this imbalance is ridiculous in the NFL.
That's true.
In some of these divisions,
Yeah, no doubt. All right, I'm debating between two here.
After this round, we will take our break. So
okay, I'm going to go with the Raiders under 6.5.
Okay.
Second hardest schedule in the NFL, tough division. Josh McDaniels, don't get me started, has just been a terrible head coach, directionless franchise. I would say Jimmy Garoppolo has started 10 games twice in his entire career.
Wow,
their defense stinks. Just a terror. Patrick Graham's got to be like, why did I take this job? They got one player, Max Crosby, on defense. They were 31st in defensive DVOA last year and added pretty much nobody. So if Garoppolo plays 17 games, could they go 7-10? Sure. But I don't think that's the most likely scenario there. So I've got the Raiders under 6.5.
Sure. It seems like best case, they win 8 games, and worst case, they win 3. Yeah.
Yes.
I have a similar one, the exact same number, and I'm also taking an under here. I know that they have kept the core of the defense together, and it could be pretty good. I know that they've got a good pair of wide receivers, but Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask in the year of our Lord 2023, 6.5 wins. I got to take the under on the Bucs. I know the division's bad. Maybe the defense carries them to some wins over some bad teams, but I got to bet against that quarterback room.
Yeah, that was the other one I was debating with.
In game, yeah.
Their defense now, they're an interesting team because they got a lot of talent. Like when you guys are doing the trade deadline pod, when is that? October, whatever. It could be like, hey, could they get one of these? The Bucs have like players on that team where they could just be looking to unload them at the deadline. That's really the only reason they're interesting this year. I think their defense could be pretty good, which is the only thing that gave me pause. But yeah, I like that under quite a bit.
All right,
give me
Zach,
something to throw the flag, Zach. What do you got?
One more, and then we'll head to break.
I'm going under New York Giants 7.5, and this is a team that last year I think they played above themselves. They were 8-4-1 in 1-score games last year. They got Darren Waller. I thought they were very well coached last year, but they're in a division with the Eagles and the Cowboys. Number one, the intra-division. Oh, I'm sorry, the inter-conference is going to be tougher for the NFC East this year. So yeah, I'm fading the Giants. I think this is a team that they clearly didn't believe enough in their quarterback to give him a long-term deal. They're kind of playing this in-between game, which is never a good thing because it's like, all right, we're willing to date you, but we're not ready to marry you yet. And
I know that's right.
Saquon just wants to stay healthy, I imagine, get to next year. They have a bunch of slot receivers, but nobody on the outside. I feel like, they've
got like 8 slot receivers.
So, I'm all in on Kayvon Thibodeau, and their offensive line is solid. You mentioned Andrew Thomas. They draft Schmitz in the second round, but I'm going under.
You don't think the classiness bump, brings them up a little bit?
The classiness bump brings them up a little bit. Not enough for me to go over here, but it is a very classy organization. That is true.
Okay.
I have them at 8 and 9. I don't feel strongly about it where I'm going to throw the flag here. I think they're right around their 7 or 8 wins.
Okay, let's. I will not throw the flag here either. Let's take a quick little break. We'll come back with the second half of the annual Spread Your Wins and Fly Draft. We all have busy lives these days and can't afford to waste a day stuck on the couch because of a few drinks the night before. Z-Biotics is the answer we have all been looking for. Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. And it is this byproduct, not dehydration, that is to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme that breaks that byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it the most. Just remember to drink Z-Biotics before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Today's a big day. A new king of the beats will be crowned. I imagine whoever that person is, probably going to want to tie one on a little bit tonight. As long as they drink their Z-Biotics first, they should be okay for tomorrow. So give Z-Biotics a try for yourself. Go to zbiotics.com/birds to get 15% off your first order when you use BIRDS at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with a 100% money back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/birds and use the code BIRDS at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring this episode. All right, back on Birds with Friends. Zach, you are on the board.
So don't love this one, but like this one. I'm betting on talent. I'm betting on coaching staff. Miami Dolphins over 9.5. And I'm saying that because this is
Throw my flag.
Okay.
Oh, you too?
Okay. Okay. This was a
This
team
is the
that
problem.
was
I think we're in group thinking too much. We've done this before.
This was a team that was a playoff team last year with quarterback issues. I obviously love the skill position players that they have. I think that they have Chubb now for a full year. They have Jalen Ramsey he's injured right now, but
That worked out.
I mean Vic Fangio. We spent a whole offseason talking about Vic. I don't love this pick because it is a really tough division, and it's one of these divisions where I had like 3 overs, and that always concerns me. But with this here, what you're trying to do is you're not trying to get everyone right. What you're trying to do is you're playing for volume, right? You're going to miss some. So if I can hit on a few of these, then I will do that. So give me Miami Dolphins over 9.5.
I actually if everything goes right for the Dolphins, they could be a 13-win team. Like the Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle is unstoppable when they're healthy. If Tua can stay healthy, sure. I think we have seen that is an unlikelihood. I'm with you on Vic Fangio can make that defense really, really good, but the injuries have really piled up. And I like Jalen Phillips too. I just think there is so much combustion potential here for this to be like a 5-win team if things go really wrong. So I had them as next on my board as an under. So I gotta stick to my board and throw the flag.
I'm throwing the flag also. Not that I feel, I don't think you're like, I think I have them. What's the number? 9.5?
9.5.
I think I have them at 8 or 9 wins. I just think there's a fragility. Am I using that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Not like Minute, but fragility with them where, Tua is coming off a season in which he had at least 2 concussions and contemplated retirement. You've got 2 wide receivers who accounted for like 65% of their receiving yards. Like if one of those guys goes down, does the offense still function? You have Teron Armstead. He's already battled through injuries. If he goes down, that offensive line is one of the worst in the NFL. They already lost Jalen Ramsey. I'm also workshopping everybody settle down on Vic Fangio take. I haven't gotten there yet, but like, listen, there've been other good defensive coaches in the NFL. Like, I'm kind of tired about hearing
He's the only guy of modern
Vic
NFL
Fangio and the Fangio trade. No, you know what? How about go hit the quarterback? You know, how about go make something happen? Like,
I like
let's
this
go old school, baby. So yeah, I'm
like
workshopping that. I need them to lose a couple games, and then I don't. Or do I have to be early on that? I feel like I shouldn't be early on that. That's like dangerous because then their defense is awesome. And I don't know.
You don't have to say he's bad. You're just saying like
settle down. Everyone settle down. All right.
There are other ways to play defense.
All right. Yeah.
Maybe let's not be so passive.
Yeah. It's just every podcaster, Vic Fangio, Vic Fangio, settle down.
Here's the thing about the NFL is that it's so cyclic, you know. There's all these trends. They pop up, they return. It's, you know.
And I would say this also. I don't know if anyone. I would say it's kind of like, I would phrase it, a copycat league. You know what I'm saying? Like one team done, then
somebody does something really well, everybody else tries to copy that, but then there's a response to that by the opposite side of the ball, and all of a sudden the other side has to change. It's just it's sort of this ebb and flow over the long arc of history.
You spoke about Tua's concussions. Zach Kiefer had a really good article on Tua relearning how to fall.
I'm interested. Do you think that makes a difference? I am curious to watch that. I can't imagine that's going to make too much of a difference, but maybe if it does, it's like amazing. I don't want him to have a concussion. Hopefully it does work. Yeah. Kind of worried about him. I would say Kiefer's good on a roll. Worried about him.
Good Tom Moore article by Zach Kiefer today.
Love a Kiefer.
Yeah, really well done.
I mean, long time coming. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
All right. I'm going to take one. This is, it's not quite on the Fangio level, but this is it's just a little bit on my radar how much everybody is too in on this team. I know that the division is there for the taking now, but 9.5 for Jared Goff at quarterback and a maniac as head coach. That's a lot of wins. That defense could be really bad. Their offensive line's great. And, I like their offense. I like Ben Johnson too. But Jameson Williams is suspended and, has barely done anything when he's been on the field. I'm a little, their draft strategy was insane. I think we need to calm down a little bit with the Lions. They could go 9-8, like very plausibly. And that's not that bad. I'm going under 9.5 on the Lions.
Oh, do I do it? Sheil, can you live with yourself throwing this on the Lions? Or will there be a better one later? What the heck? Can't take them with you. Bam.
Okay.
I don't feel great about it. I've got them at 10-7. I could see them 9-8. I think they were the fourth best team in the NFC, like by the end of last year. Your concerns are absolutely valid. I don't think the defense is great. I'm not going to. This surprised me, though. Jared Goff has had 6 seasons as a full-time starter. How many times do you think he's directed a top 10 offense?
4.
Well, maybe it won't surprise you. 4 times. So I'm like, and I'm not saying Jared Goff is Patrick Mahomes, but like he's kind of done this where the circumstances are good around him. He's shown an ability to, at least execute at a level where the offense can be good. I'm with you on Ben Johnson, though. We do this with offensive coordinators too, where like we were doing, Kellen Moore was this guy, and then the Cowboys fired him. Not that, they should have, but we kind of go goo goo gaga for the offensive coordinator. Byron Leftwich, remember? It was like Byron Leftwich after what he just did with Brady, like a 50-year-old Brady. He's got it, and now he doesn't have a job. He doesn't have an offensive coordinator job. So I think we do kind of go overboard with some of these play callers and coordinators, and then a year later it looks a lot different. But man, I was impressed by what they did last year. So I've got them at 10 wins. So I'll go ahead and throw the flag and take the over on the Lions. I think there's some upside there that they could be better than that.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I liked Campbell I forget who it.
I like Campbell too.
Yeah, I didn't like Campbell. That Hard Knocks, I thought maybe there's no person on Hard Knocks who I'd like kind of change my opinion on more than Campbell. I thought he was just like, he is obviously, a meathead.
It's a little bit like Sirianni.
He was authentic.
It's a little bit like Sirianni, where it's weird, and you're like, what is this? What's going on with this guy? But the more you see him, the more he's actually like that.
Yeah, like when they were releasing players and he was I'm like, this is like the most human I've seen a coach be releasing a player on any of these Hard Knock seasons, but I don't know. All right.
Perhaps we shouldn't make caricatures of these coaches and view them as three-dimensional human beings. That
I
would
don't know. It's kind of fun though to do the caricature thing.
No. These are
I mean, I listen. I got a lot of podcasts there to finish. I gotta say something. You can't go too nuanced, when you're speaking like 4 or 5 hours a week. You gotta bring something to the table.
That's
So,
interesting. I wonder what that would be like.
yeah, that's right. All right. Am I up? You just went.
You're up.
Did
You've
you
got
go?
2.
Yeah. All right. I've got 2. I'm going to take the Steelers over 8.5. I like the Steelers this year. I've got the Steelers as a playoff team. We'll see with Kenny Pickett. I thought he improved last year. I don't like their offensive coordinator. However, I like their defense a lot. I think that's a top 10 defense. I think their, pass catchers on offense are going to be good enough. I obviously love the coach, Mike Tomlin. Never had a losing season. So I can't remember. I got them at 9 or 10 wins, wild card team. So I'll take the Steelers over as one of mine.
Steelers is like it's a little bit similar to the Cowboys to me, where it's like I like everything that's going on there except for Matt Canada. It's like he's the Mike McCarthy in this situation. But yeah. I think they're interesting. The division's really hard. That's the other.
Yeah, I'm throwing my penalty flag here, and I'm not throwing
the history of Tomlin.
Yeah,
Monty brothers, get after this guy.
That's really trust me, it's really painful for me to do that because Tomlin
you don't look that pained. I mean,
Tomlin
really
has
you'd be wearing it at least.
Tomlin look, I don't like betting against Mike Tomlin here, but this is one of those divisions where they have the 4th best quarterback in the division. Okay,
I'm not so sure that's true.
I said, okay, well, this is my opinion. Here.
Okay,
I'm giving my take. Okay.
Fair enough.
They Cincinnati is a bona fide Super Bowl contender. I think. I mean, we'll get to Baltimore when we get to Baltimore. I think Cleveland has a lot of talent. Am I really ready to say Pittsburgh is a winning team? Is that division going to have 4 teams with winning records, or are they going to have one division? Or is there going to be one team that really regresses? So I don't like betting against Tomlin here. What this is betting against the rest of the AFC North.
I think that's
betting
fair.
for the rest of the AFC North. Yeah.
My only thing was I think Deshaun Watson might stink. So I think Pickett could be the 3rd best in the division. But
could be. All right. And my other one, I'll take down the football hipsters with this one and go Falcons under 8.5. Yeah. This team's getting gassed up with Artie Smith and all the scheme. They were 13th in DVO last year. They got to be better this year. Well, if Marcus Mariota stunk last year, and he did, why did Arthur Smith not make a move at quarterback until week 15? He was literally around Desmond Ridder every day. He wanted to make the playoffs. He was motivated, and he didn't make a move until week 15. Then they signed Taylor Heineke to a 2-year, $14 million deal in the offseason. So I'm just not sold that Desmond Ridder is going to be good enough for them. I still don't like the defense. They have a first-time defensive coordinator. They signed 3. Can you imagine, Zach, can you imagine Bo if Howie Roseman signed 3 defensive linemen 30 years or older in one free agency period? I mean, that's all that would get talked about on Birds with Friends. And you know what? Partially rightfully so, because I'm ripping the Falcons for doing that this offseason.
I would spend at least a little time on Desmond Ridder, but yeah.
Okay.
I would probably spend more time on 3 consecutive top 10 picks spent on
exactly.
It's basically the way Bo does our fantasy draft, our drafts here, where
I would never take a running back that early.
He's just taking receivers tight end. Yeah. But it's as if like the offensive line and the defensive line does not exist here. And by the way, independently, like I love Kyle Pitts. We all know that. Drake London showed some juice there, but when you just look at it, you have a chance to really build the infrastructure of your roster, and you spend first-round picks on Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson. Who's rushing the quarterback? Who's protecting the quarterback? That's where who's playing quarterback? That's where I
that's
say
the big one.
Yeah, I really don't like the way they've gone about building that roster.
I totally agree. I'm with you. Like there's like the talk that this could be one of the best offenses in the league. Like let's calm down. Desmond Ridder is the quarterback.
I agree.
I mean, if you actually want, though, you gave that Trevor Lawrence. This is a guy who's going to become the second best. Look, Kyle Pitts is going to be awesome this year. I'm just telling you that right now.
Better or worse than David Njoku?
Give me an over/under.
He'll be better.
Top 3 tight end scoring in fantasy?
Or you can do yards.
Top 5.
Total yards.
Top 5 tight end scoring in fantasy.
That's not a big take. He's like ranked 6th or something like that.
Who's he beating now? TJ Hawkinson?
Not
5.
Okay, well, no, you got Travis Kelce.
Yards. Give
George
me a
Kittle.
yardage total. I need.
I'm curious what our betting partners have for his over/under. I am
Yeah,
going
we can look at that.
857 receiving yards.
Okay. No, I think
That's
that's
not knocking my socks off.
No, that's for a tight end. I mean that's up there.
Yeah, but you're
was
talking a
surprising.
big game like this guy's going to light the league on fire. 850 yards. That's like Nelson Aguilar level.
Well, look at him last year. I look at the
Nelson,
jump.
sorry,
from last year.
Nelson, listening, going, what the hell, man? Every time you guys wanted to talk to me that Super Bowl season, I was accommodating. Even through the bad times, I still spoke to the media. Super Bowl, I come through. No one remembers how good I was in the only Super Bowl in franchise history. And now I'm taking a stray in your dumb Kyle Pitts discussion. I'm a loyal listener. What the hell?
Wait a second. No one remembers how good he was in that Super Bowl. There is an entire chapter in this book devoted to Nelson Aguilar. And
Not only
entire
that,
Up underdogs, by the
in
way.
this book.
Not only that, there is an unwritten story, an unpublished but written story about his ability to pick out restaurants on the road that Zach never got to publish.
Never
Just
got to publish
it
it.
tomorrow.
It's one
I'll
of my
read
favorite
that.
stories. It's one of my favorite stories I've written for The Athletic.
One
to
of
the
your
point
favorites?
or
How deep does that
that-
list go?
Oh God! I mean, we would need hours because I'm very I get
Would it
invested
be in your
all
top
my
10?
stories. It was a very. I think I was on a creative heater in 2019. To be honest. With you.
Oh,
Oh my
ZB. All
Look, it
right,
was-
I was
let's
on a
explore
creative
this.
heater. That was the Vinny Curry shoe year.
Yeah, that was the Liggins year. That was the Doug
Liggins
Peterson radio.
Who?
Everybody knows. Everybody in their mind thinks of 2019 as
Who
the
hell is
Liggins year.
Jamalcolm Liggins. They had a cornerback. Okay, who
This was your first year, so you think you
Yeah.
entered hot?
Take a
Yes,
risk, big dog.
I think I was
Absolutely.
on a creative heater in 2019.
That's got to be a drop. I love it.
I shouldn't have been.
No,
that
that's
forthright.
good. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I was.
Yeah.
Does that go
I
in your
was-
top 10?
Well, the story never appeared, so it's hard
Yeah,
to
but you
say.
said it was one of your
But
favorites
so,
you've ever written.
I
at the
will tell
Athletic.
you. I'll tell what the story is. Nelson Aguilar was responsible for kind of organizing these group dinners on the road, and he's really into restaurants, and he would spend a lot of time researching where to eat and kind of its proximity to where they were staying and how if the place could accommodate enough people. And I had
Man after your own heart.
yeah, and you guys know Alshon Jeffrey. Alshon Jeffrey's not like the most like outgoing person or cooperative in terms of speaking. And
food. It picks really good restaurants.
I spoke to Alshon like 3 or 4 times for this story. And one time he
Just
called
because you
me
couldn't
back
hear him
over.
each time.
No, and someone's like, "What are you talking to Alshon about?" I said, "Restaurants on the road." And it was yeah. So he gave me Nelson gave me his whole list. I was pretty proud of that story. So never
All right,
appeared.
Pecknest migrate unpublished Zach Berman stories. The Nelson Aguilar on the road,
Mhm.
the Sam Bradford Inquirer season preview after he got traded to the Vikings, and Zach Pascal having catches with kids on the sideline.
I'm gonna migrate the Zach Pascal having catches with kids on the sideline, just because I never ended up actually writing the story. And Victor Cruz, I never connected with Victor Cruz on that, but I did speak to Zach Pascal a few times on it, and I was on the sideline trying to
Waiting
watch
for him
Zach
to do it,
Pascal
and he
do it.
never did it.
Number one. So migrating that. I am nesting, or I'm pecking the Aguilar story. And then I'm nesting. Look, you get an exclusive with the starting quarterback, a 45-minute exclusive with the starting quarterback. Okay, a few days before the season. It was I think maybe the 30th Today's the 30th. It was right around the time. So you get that exclusive. He was awesome. Like really, he was honest and revealing and like human. And I'm so pumped to write this story. And we're sitting down in a room and we talk for 30, 40 minutes, whatever it is. And we're leaving the room. And on the screen there's a TV screen in the office, and there's breaking news about Teddy Bridgewater's injury. And I ask him, what do you think about that? And he's like, I feel really bad for Teddy. I've gone through that. Who would know that moment altered the course of Eagles history? So in any event, that one.
One of your favorite stories from the Athletic.
That's good. Why didn't you write that? Well, first I was just thinking like, there's no chance. If I write a story, that bad boy's going up. I don't care what happens. I'll tweak a lead if I need to. I'm not putting that work in and it's not going. Maybe that's why I wait till the last second. But Zach, that's a great anecdote. Why didn't the story just get tweaked with that? I mean, that would be a great story.
Yeah. So I reworked. No, I reworked the story when the Eagles played the Vikings that year on like Bradford's return. And I used the material from there. But I remember it was fascinating. Like one of the things that Bradford was getting, he has this Bible verse that he reads before every game. Okay. And it's a parable. He basically reads David and Goliath. This was back in 2016, so I might not be remembering this correctly, but he always associated with David in the story, even though the public perception of him is as this like ultimate Goliath, number 1 pick, highest paid player in the league. So, Heisman Trophy winner. So it was a really good conversation. If he had been the starting quarterback, that would have been a great like scene setting story that I never had a chance to write.
All right, I'm on the clock.
Sorry about that.
No, that was good. I am never. I think I will go to my deathbed never forgetting the phrase "I was on a creative heater in 2019."
100%.
I should not have.
You shouldn't have done anything else.
No,
that's good.
That was poor judgment.
Yeah,
you
should have. Pencils
Great.
up. I'm good. All right. I'm gonna go the corollary to my Lions under. I think there's a to steal the phraseology of Sheil's boss. Maybe a little bit of Ewing theory potential to the Green Bay Packers. I think maybe a breath of fresh air now that the ayahuasca has cleared and nobody's worried about chemtrails. People can just get back to business, play some football. I think Jordan Love has a chance to be interesting. And 7.5, the only win here. I think their defense could be pretty good. They've got 2 potential game changers in Jair Alexander and Rashawn Gary. I'm not 100% sold on the offensive like pass catching weapons, but I kind of like what the Packers could do here at 7.5. I don't think 9 wins is that wild at all.
I've got the over. I've got them as a playoff wildcard team. I don't listen. The floor is low there, so like they could stink, and I wouldn't be shocked. A defensive coordinator is not good. They have talent every year, and they underperform. Offensively, they've got a bunch of rookies and second-year players around Jordan Love. But I do agree with you with just sort of a weight being lifted. Like a feeling of everyone thought Rodgers was just carrying us to all these wins. Well, we won 13 games in a row, 3 years in a row before last year. Even last year, they were 11th in offensive DVOA. With Rodgers being injured and not playing well. So I think Love has a chance. This is something we don't really see where a guy in his 4th year, he's got all these practice reps in the same system over and over again. Like, I think we'll know pretty soon whether he's good or not. Like, I don't think we need until week 12, like first month of the season, we'll either see whether he's competent or not. So yeah, I do like that over a little bit as well.
I had under here, but I'm staying away from this.
Okay. You've still got you and I both have 1 flag left, Zach. Sheil has used both of his flags. You've got 2 picks now, Zach.
So this is one that I'm kind of fading the public here. There's a lot of Chicago Bears love right now. I'm going under 7.5. The Chicago Bears were the worst team in the NFL last year. Okay. They turned the number 1 pick in the draft into Darnell Wright. All right, and DJ Moore.
Okay.
But
yeah, I agree with you.
Moore. Yeah. They have all this cap space and they spend it on 2 off-ball linebackers, 2 guys that I like,
And a
but
guard.
like, yeah.
Who hasn't practiced all summer, by the way, the
I
guard.
totally agree with
And
that.
no one knows why.
Really?
It's a really interesting. Yeah, like no, he said like ask the trainers. It's one of those where Zach, you're always like, whenever a head coach says something like that, Zach always respond. You do right? Zach, you're like, all right,
Yeah,
I'd love
can
to.
we?
Yeah.
And they're like, no.
Yes,
You
exactly.
actually can't talk to. Yeah, I think that's what they did. Nate Davis, the guard they signed from the Titans, literally has not practiced this offseason, and there's like mystery about what's going on there. I think, yeah, Kevin Fishbane has written about that on The Athletic.
So yeah, I'm not sold on this Bears team. I really don't like the NFC North. This is one of these divisions where I had everyone kind of going under. It seemed like, and that always worries me because there are going to be wins to be had, but I don't see this as an 8-win team.
Now you love a Fields though, correct? You just don't think he has enough help, or you don't love a Fields anymore?
No,
did
still
love a Fields.
Yeah, still,
Okay.
still really like a Fields.
Okay.
But I got to say, that offensive line was problematic last year. And I don't know if Nate Davis and Darnell Wright is like the answer to all their questions on the offensive line. So I understand Orlando Brown's not for everybody, but that's a team that like I would have gone after, Orlando Brown or someone of that nature.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got the under there too. I think there is some variance to them. I don't think it's a high percentage that Fields hits, but I think if he does, he'll hit in a big way. But just the negative plays. I mean, he led the NFL in sack rate, interception rate, and had the most fumbles last year. So it's like, that's a lot. I love the spectacular plays. He's an exciting player, but I just don't know that that's going to be enough to overcome. And I'm with you on the defense. Yeah, that number's high to me. That's kind of the opposite of the Cowboys one, where I'm like, I feel like the Bears get bet on the over quite a bit most years. And that feels a little bit high to me to think they're going to win that many games.
Yeah. So that's why I look at that situation. Also, I wonder if that's a team that should have just kind of maybe considered and see, I love whenever you stockpile draft picks, right? And you have all this future inventory from Carolina, and getting DJ Moore is certainly a boon there. I wonder if there was just a trade they could have done with Houston, move back, take in Will Anderson, had like a premium edge rusher in addition to some draft picks, and rolled that way. Because I just, you have the number 1 pick in the draft, and you come out of it with Darnell Wright. I'm wondering if that's like the best long-term play for getting that blue chip, for getting the blue chip talent there.
I totally agree with everything you just said.
So look, I was high on Miami, and it's hard for me to like go with multiple double-digit win teams in a division, but that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm going over Buffalo 10.5. And I'm saying that this is a team with a good track record. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. We have to see what happens with Von Miller. That's obviously a big deal there. I'm always worried when like you let go of your defensive coordinator, there's that weird thing, and then Sean McDermott's like, yeah, I'll handle it. I don't think the head coach taking on more responsibility is often like the best way to fix a problem. But I like gambling on good quarterbacks, and Josh Allen's a good quarterback, so I'm going over 10.5.
Yeah, they're a weird team because you didn't feel great about them last year, and then you looked up and they were 13-3, and no team had beaten them by more than a field goal all season long. So I do think like Josh Allen,
crazy things happening all year. By the way,
that's the other thing. I do feel like that kind of gets lost. Like they almost saw their teammate die on the field, and then they like lost in the playoffs. I mean, I don't know, like that.
They had a game displaced. Yeah, they had a game displaced because of blizzards. Like the everything. So much was going on in Buffalo.
Right. They were players could not have been in a great headspace, obviously, understandably so by the end of that season. So, I'm with you. I have them at 11-6. It just feels like you look up at the end of every year and they're at the top of the AFC East, and the offense is really good. Even though the experience of watching them, you're like, I don't know that this team is great, but they end up getting there. So I like that one.
I like that one too. I'm going to take one that I think will surprise people.
Okay.
From me.
We'll be the judge of that.
This, I love that a defense that was good last year but didn't get a lot of turnovers. This was a top 5 defense by EPA per play, and this is not who you think it is. I think Sheil.
Oh, okay.
This is, and they were towards the bottom of the league in takeaways. They've got real question marks at quarterback, and maybe their best player is injured to start the season. But I think the defense could be good, and I think that, as Zach said, the Giants may be coming back a little bit. I think it's hard to believe that the departure of Daniel Snyder, even though Josh Harris is coming in as a weasel, he's not Dan Snyder. I think they're going to be cleaning house next year, but I think the Washington Commanders could win 8 games, so I'm taking the over at 6.5.
Zach, I'm legitimately shocked there. Z-Berm, I did not think that was going to be who he went with.
Well, whenever I think of Josh Harris, and Bo is such a Josh Harris guy that this doesn't surprise me.
That's true. He believes in the ownership. Yeah,
exactly. He believes in the ownership support, believes in what Josh Harris stands for. Matter of fact, I think he's gonna start wearing Sixers gear all around town in support.
Or maybe what was the sweatshirt?
Yeah,
Versace?
Louis
Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna get a bunch of Louis Vuitton hoodies.
Yeah. Wow. That's shocking. See, I think that the Commanders are just kind of playing out the season here. I mean, I don't know that Ron Rivera is awake for some of these games. Sam Howell is starting at quarterback. Last 10 years, guys drafted in the 5th round or later, how many quarterbacks do you think have started at least 10 games in a season? Little trivia question.
Well, the worst thing here is maybe we can commiserate over this. Pro Football Reference and StatHead getting rid of the Draft Finder tool.
Wait, is that right?
Yeah.
When?
Over the last 3 weeks or something like that.
Wow.
It's gone.
I haven't noticed that. That sucks.
It's terrible.
Well,
that's maybe my most used tool.
Go to. Yeah, the season finders, the draft finders. But
no,
the
season finders are still there. It's
just the draft
finder.
Okay, all right. So you can't look it up. Do you have an answer to my question?
My answer is how over the last 10 years?
Guys drafted in the last 10 years in the 5th round or later, where Sam Howell was drafted. How many quarterbacks had just one season of at least 10 starts?
2.
Correct. I'm not really enjoying this trivia thing today with you guys. Do you know who they are?
I've been Gardner Minshew.
All right.
And
all right. You can't have dead air, and we're 2 hours into this thing. Trevor Siemian is the other one.
Okay.
So those are listen, there's always exceptions, but I don't know that Sam Howell is going to be the exception there. I don't like their offensive line. So yeah, the defense.
But if it's
really
not Sam Howell, I think Jacoby Brissett could lead a.
If I felt like Brissett was going to be their starter, I would like this one more for sure. But wow, that's interesting. I think I have the under on the Commanders, but I've already used my flags. I think I would probably like to use my flag there over where I used my previous flags. But
too bad.
ZB, do you have flags to use? Are you using one or no?
I have one flag. I'm not going to use it here. I do have the under. I can see why Bo's real high on Emmanuel Forbes. I love that defense.
Forbes, Josh Harris. That's true. We should have seen this coming.
Yeah. No, but the thing I will agree with Bo on is I do think that defensive line is legit, and I think that team can get after the quarterback. And when you can get after the quarterback, you're going to be in games, and their offensive line's not horrible either. So I have questions the rest of the roster, but I like what they have up front.
So are these my last 2 picks?
I'm going to jump out and jump back in because my camera, the video is not in sync. So it's throwing.
These are 1, 2.
I see 7 teams left. We don't do the Eagles, right?
Correct. So you will have one last pick. So you have 3 picks left, but you'll just get the last one at the end.
All right. This is tough here. Who do I go with here for my last picks? All right. This is one that I've just stuck with regardless of what's happened in the preseason. I'm just going to stick with it again here. I'm going to go Carolina Panthers over 7.5. I think their defense is going to be really good. I like their coordinator. I think they've got talent there. I love Bryce Young. I know it's hard as a rookie quarterback. I don't like the skill position guys on offense. I thought their offensive line was going to be solid, and then it's kind of been a disaster this offseason, this summer, I should say, training camp in the preseason. But you know what? I've got to pick someone in the NFC South, and I'm picking the Panthers to be the surprise team in the NFC South. I'm going over 7.5, not feeling great about it.
I am going to go ahead and throw my flag here.
Whoa.
I like Bryce Young too.
Yeah.
And the division's bad, but I mean, they are talent poor all
They've
over the
got
place.
no one. Yeah.
Are they okay? I'm going to push back on that. Keep that thought going. But I'm going to push back on them being talent poor.
Go ahead, tell me. I mean, they got Brian Burns.
Yeah, I think they're talent poor as far as like the way you do our drafts on Birds with Friends, right? Like their skill spots. Okay.
Okay, their top 10 pick left tackle has been bad so far.
Yeah, I think that they have decent talent on that offensive line. The back half of the season last year showed that they can protect. I think they can get after the quarterback. We mentioned Brian Burns. Derek Brown is a solid player there too. What they added Shy Tuttle with this offseason. They have, Justin Houston's one of these guys who just always seems to get to the quarterback.
I like Shy Tuttle. He always shows up in my stuff, but they added Shy Tuttle this offseason.
Shy Tuttle reference was off the board.
Yeah, I think this is a team that you look at their offensive line, their defensive line. I think they are underrated.
Okay, there you go. So Bo's throwing the flag. Zach is not. And then my second one, let's go Browns under 9.5. You look at it on paper, and you could be like, oh yeah, this team's gonna be really good. I mean, first of all, you don't release Michael Dunn and think that's not going to affect the locker room, affect everything else, the O-line depth. Not like the guy came in and saved your butt in your only playoff win of the last 20 years.
You sit in the locker room, you like to think it's a meritocracy. Everybody in the locker room sees what happens on the field. They see that you're playing games with one of the better players on the team. Give me a break.
Yeah. One injury, they're kind of spoiled. The guards usually don't get injured, but that doesn't mean they're not going to get injured this year. And you're going to need that depth there. I just don't trust them. I think the defense is going to be really good. I've got their defense as a top 5 unit. That's one of my sort of go out on a limb type predictions this year. And you can convince me of the offense, but you know what? There's so much pressure in that organization that like nothing on paper can account for. Where if you're like 1-3 in September, all of a sudden you're going to read a report that, Deshaun Watson is not thrilled about Kevin Stefanski's offense, or, Kevin Stefanski wasn't fully on board with stuff's going to start coming out because Watson is the most powerful person other than Haslam, who's too busy, yelling at Kayvon Wallace. What if the Browns signed Kayvon Wallace?
Just to make him run gassers at practice and then release him.
You know what? If there's an owner who would actually do that, it might be Haslam. I think that there's just, other than Haslam, Watson is the most powerful guy in the organization. Everyone else is going to feel the pressure. Watson has not been a good quarterback in 3 years now. Like, I don't know. Maybe he'll get it back. Maybe he won't. I don't know that it's a great scheme for him. And then they're kind of thin with their offensive skill. I mean, Amari Cooper goes down or Nick Chubb goes down. All of a sudden, they're one injury away from not being very good at the skill spot. So I'm going under Browns 9.5.
Yeah, I'm with it. I think there's combustion potential here for all the reasons you said. But I kind of like the defense too from what we saw.
If Michael Dunn rejoins the team between now and whenever, then I would probably change my tune. But you can only go with the information we have at the time of recording.
As a fully paid member of the active roster,
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm up.
It's my turn.
Okay.
It's Bo's turn.
My turn.
I mean, we've had the same order for 2 hours.
It's round 9.
It's only 3. Zach's ready to go. All right.
This number is a little too high for my liking, so my inclination is under. But I think this team could end up being a top 2 seed in the stacked AFC. I think that they might have my favorite defense in the NFL right now. I really like Mike McDonald. I think that he could be on the radar for a potential head coaching job next offseason if this defense is as good as I think it could be. I think if Lamar Jackson stays healthy, we say every year if Lamar Jackson stays healthy, they'll be good. We'll see what happens. I like the Ravens. I'm taking the over 10.5. It's a bit of a reach, a stretch to go over 10.5 for them, but in that division. But I kind of like them as a potential sleeper for a top 2 seed.
I like the under there. I think it's 10.5. You said, yeah, I think they're 10-7. I think it's going to take a while before that offense gets going. Brand new coordinator, 2 new pass catchers for Lamar Jackson coming off of an injury. Like, I think they could be really good come December, but I think they're going to get off to a slow start. Could be wrong. And defensively, man, you just look at the talent. They're lacking. Like, Mike McDonald better be good because Marlon Humphrey's injured. They're thin at corner. They're thin at pass rush, but they usually just figure it out regardless of what those holes are, and they end up having a really good defense. So I think they're a good team. I'm not ready to go over 10.5 for them, but could be wrong.
All right, Zach. Now it is your turn. You get 2 picks.
Back to back. We're doing a snake, Zach.
These will be your last 2 picks, Zach.
Okay, good. Okay.
These are over-unders. So you look at the number.
Yeah.
And you pick.
There are 5 teams left: the Denver Broncos, the Los Angeles Rams, the New Orleans Saints, the New York Jets, and the Tennessee
I didn't even
Titans.
have the Rams on my list here. I totally forgot about them.
Sorry, I'm getting a bunch of text messages during this period.
Jeez, people giving you belated congrats on the 2019 year.
No, New Orleans Saints. I'm going under here. Now, someone in that division has to win games, right? But are the New Orleans Saints a 10-win team? I don't like them on the offensive or defensive lines. Upgrade at quarterback here. Is it enough to really change their fortunes there? Don't love the coaching that they have. I think I'm fading the Saints overall. I think there's a little too much Derek Carr hype here. I get that it's a really soft division. This is a division that someone won 8 games with last year. I don't know if this is a 10-win Saints team.
I think that's right. I mean, the gut reaction to seeing that number is like, wow, that number is high. So I don't disagree. I think the baked in thing there is that maybe they're just the only competent team in the division, but that would have been my inclination as well.
Easiest schedule in the NFL based on projected win totals, but I'm with you. I think they're 8 or 9 win team there. They're just screaming mediocrity where some bounces go their way. Could they win 10 and win the division? Yes, but I would take the under there also.
And then also here, this is not good roster math, but I'm confident I'll hit at least one of these and maybe 2 of these. Or I shouldn't say roster math, betting math, over under math. I'm all in on the AFC East this year, which is obviously bad news for the NFC East, who's playing them. I already went over on Miami. I already went over on Buffalo. By making this pick, I am having 3 teams with double-digit wins, which is really hard to do. But this is what I'm saying. I think at least 2 of these 3 hit. We're pretty late in the game. I'm going over on the New York Jets. I think this is a team that had a ready-made roster elsewhere. They get Aaron Rodgers, a significant upgrade at quarterback from where I'm sitting. I think Garrett Wilson's going to be awesome this year. Get all your Garrett Wilson stock in fantasy football. Their offensive line, Joe Douglas has done a good job turning that over. I think they're going to be able to get to the quarterback a little bit more. So I'm in on the New York Jets right now. I'm going with a 10-win New York Jets team.
I want to come at you. I don't know what to think of the Jets. I would believe almost any result for this season. I could see them winning. Aaron Rodgers gets injured, they win 3 games. I could see him winning 14 games. They last year, their defense was really, really, really good. They were like a top 20 quarterback away from being a legit playoff team. I think there's real Tom Brady to the Bucs potential here. But I also I'm worried about the cult of Aaron Rodgers in that building. No, I don't. And this is against you watch Hard Knocks and it's like everybody is so deferential to him, even the coaching staff. It's a little bit unnerving, I think. And I think there's real combustion, but push come to shove, I think I would have taken the over as well.
I got the over. I've got them at 10-7. I think they are a playoff team. I don't feel great about it. Could it go horribly? Yes, absolutely could. But I think the defense is really good. They won 7 games with the worst quarterback in the NFL last year and the second most injured offensive line in the NFL last year. And so I don't think they're going to be a great team, but I think they're going to go over that number and make the playoffs.
All right, I will close mine out now. Zach, you've got your flag left, so on one of these last 2 picks, you got to disagree with.
Yep.
I think you might disagree with this one. This is one where I think the smart money is on the over, but at 7.5, I know that everybody talks about how competitive those Mike Vrabel teams are, and he's going to get the most out of his roster. I think you look at the way their team is set up right now. They have a new GM who's coming in after his first offseason. They've got these 2 young backup quarterbacks in Malik Willis and Will Levis. I feel like if things start poorly the first half of the season, there's a possibility they trade Ryan Tannehill and try to figure out who the potential, if one of those guys could be their potential future backup. So I sort of see the arc of the season for the Titans going hovering around 500 and then getting much worse at the end of the season, sort of like they did last year. I'm taking the under 7.5 on the Titans.
I'm not throwing my flag here. I'm going to wait to see what Sheil does, and I'll paint myself into that corner because I have a hard time. I've been going with quarterbacks here. I know Mike Vrabel's history, but I hear, and that's a really bad division, so there's going to be wins available, but I don't know if I'm betting on Tennessee to win 8-9 games right now.
Okay.
I got them at 8-9, but it's tough. I could see it going terribly for them. 35-year-old quarterback, bad offensive line. We'll see. All right, what's the Rams number? I didn't, for some reason, I didn't copy that. All right, and no one's taken that yet, right?
Correct.
And this is my last one?
Correct.
Yeah, I'll take the Rams under 6.5. They've got nobody on defense other than Aaron Donald. Offensively, again, old quarterback, bad offensive line. Don't like that combination. They've got 3 players, Stafford, Kupp, and Donald. I think they could be a team that maybe gets a little creative at the trade deadline, and there are reasons to think they could bounce back. They're not going to be as injured as they were last year, most likely. And McVay has done more with less offensively in the past, but I just look at the talent, and for them to get to 7 wins, I think is going to be tough. Zach throwing the flag?
I have no choice, right?
Okay.
I have to, and that's fine with me because I've been ambivalent here on them. If I was picking them, I would pick the under for the reasons you said. But look, this is a team that won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, was decimated by injuries last year. McVay is a proven coach, like you said. Matthew Stafford, he just has to introduce himself to his teammates and find a way to connect with them. I don't know how much you guys have been following the sports news recently. That was
Oh yeah, what was it? He didn't he couldn't connect with young players or something, and then
I think his wife said on her podcast that like the teammates are always in their phones and he has to connect with them.
Chad Hall's sister.
But I'm fine going over here just because look, they still have Stafford, they still have Kupp, they still have Donald, and they still have McVay, and
you two share similar philosophies on staying shirtless as much as possible.
McVay and I?
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's not true.
All right. That means that Marissa will have her choice of the Denver Broncos 8.5, whether to go over or under. We'll have to find out what she thinks.
Listen, let's get, they could use a little offensive line help in Denver. I'm just saying this could be an easy over.
I mean, Zach, you've been doing so much work on the Broncos. You didn't have a take?
Seriously.
Yeah, you know
what
what
you've been doing is consuming Broncos content.
He's been too close to it.
So my issue with the Denver pick is the same thing I'm saying with the AFC East right now. Is that division, man? Like, I think the Chargers and the Chiefs are both heavyweights there.
I thought you were Russell Wilson Island.
Yeah, I think Russell Wilson's going to be much better. Sean Payton, I don't like his media policies, but he's a proven head coach. And
his media policies?
Very restrictive.
Really? Okay.
Yes, very restrictive. But overall, I think this is a team that's due for a bounce back. I'm just not sure I'm ready to say 9-10 wins right now, just because that you have the Chiefs and you have the Chargers, and that worries me.
Now, Sheil, while we have you,
Going into hour 2, yes.
and going into hour 2 at the 90-minute mark, Zach and I will do this early next week, but the Eagles at 11.5, over or under?
Oh, well, I can't reveal that here. I mean, listen, someone's got to pay the bills on the Ringers Philly special. So, you would have to listen next week to my predictions.
I believe that's State Farm who's doing that, right? No.
The Ringers Philly special? No, I don't
yeah.
think so.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But
Sorry.
congratulations, State Farm, on the free plug by Zach.
I heard an interesting ad this morning when listening. All right. Well, let me run this down just for the record. Sheil has the Cardinals.
I never understood the purpose of this. All right, go ahead.
Cardinals under 4.5, Falcons under 8.5, Panthers over 7.5, Browns under 9.5, threw the flag on the Lions over 9.5, Texans under 6.5, Colts under 6.5, Jaguars over 9.5, Rams under 6.5, Raiders under 6.5, threw the flag on the Dolphins under 9.5, and the Steelers over 8.5. I have the Ravens over 10.5, threw the flag on the Panthers under 7.5, Lions under 9.5, Packers over 7.5, Chiefs over 11.5, Dolphins threw the flag on under 9.5, Patriots under 7.5, Seahawks over 8.5, Niners under 10.5, Bucks under 6.5, Titans under 7.5, Commanders over 6.5. Zach,
I mean, who
Bills
listening to this?
over
Keeping up.
10.5, Bears under 7.5, Bengals over 11.5, Cowboys over 9.5, Chargers over 9.5, threw the flag on the Rams over 6.5, Dolphins over 9.5, Vikings under 8.5, Saints under 9.5, Giants under 7.5, Jets over 9.5, and threw the flag on the Steelers under 8.5. Okay. That's about all we got. Sheil, is it nice for you to be back on Birds with Friends, stirring up any emotions on any thoughts on just the history of the show that maybe come to mind for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've been invited back on. I mean, I had to reach out and say, how about a little home and home, to which you agreed to. I don't like to be, it's like, you don't want to be the one always texting and asking. So a little ask, on your end would be nice. But Zach has been on the Ringers Philly special. And Bo, you'll be on tomorrow for a little home and home. So I don't know what we're going to talk about after we just went 90 plus minutes on
Well, we didn't talk about the Eagles at all.
We didn't talk about the Eagles. So we'll talk about the Eagles on that episode.
Okay. That's all you got to say? Nothing emotional about, your history with the show or anything like that?
No, I mean, it's
you don't want to be in the emotional zoo.
I don't want to be. Yeah, I like to watch. Like, if you guys were saying something emotional about the show, then I would gladly take it in. But yeah, I don't know that I have much to say about it.
Okay, fair enough. That'll do it then for this episode of Birds with Friends. Zach, I'll see you at the facility in a little bit. You've got plenty of time now to get there. So for Zach and Sheil and Marissa's Broncos, I'm Bo. We thank you for listening. We will talk to you again soon. I'm not sure exactly when. We'll see if there's news that merits a podcast this week. If not, we'll be back early next week. And other than that, thanks to all the sickos in the chat. And we'll talk to you soon. For all of us here at Birds with Friends, as always, we love you. Now let me find the out roll here.